guest tonight has appeared in such films as Deep Blue Sea and Circle of Friends, and her latest film, Miss Julie, opens next Friday. Please welcome the lovely Saffron Burrows. I never know when I'm going to get the kiss from the girl or not. So.
If in doubt, go for two.
How are you?
Good, really well.
Very lovely. Nice of you to be here.
Thank you.
First question I have is about, I have an unusual first name, which has ruined my life. But yours is very pretty but unusual, Saffron.
Yeah.
Well, how did your parents, I know my parents got liquored up and just came up with his name. Your parents, why Saffron?
Mine were not dissimilar, except it involved acid. A shady trip to Marrakesh.
What's this? They were on acid in Marrakesh?
My dad's fond of cooking. Listened to a lot of Hendrix.
They were listening to Hendrix?
And 72.
Right.
And they come up with this thing, which I've had to live with.
Well, it's good that they were listening
They
were listening to cool music anyway.
That's true.
You know, if they'd been listening to something else, you could have had a horrible name.
Could have been even more dodgy.
Right.
But at least yours involves some libido of some sort, you know.
No. Well, no, it was tough for me because I grew up with this name of this very muscular hero, and I wasn't always this muscular. I can edit out the laughs, people. Okay. You know, you're also you're tall. How tall are you?
6 foot.
You're 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
Wow. And when you put on heels, you're well over 7 feet high. I know that women say that that's difficult to be that tall.
I've given up now. I used to pretend. I went through a phase of wearing very baggy jeans, sitting down a lot, leaning against walls at parties.
Sitting down a lot? What, the chair had wheels on? Just, hi, how are you? Nice to see you. What?
Answer the door and sit down immediately. But
right.
the guy who plays opposite me in Miss Julie is 4'11". He says he's 5'4". But I say he's 4'11",
right.
and the first time I met him I was petrified because we had a rehearsal process where I basically sat down a lot and talked, and I wore these jeans which were so baggy I could actually bend my knees to right angles and not...
Right,
he didn't quite know I was 6 foot.
So you hid that from him and then surprised him in one...
on the first day on set, and I've got these bloody great boots on, and yeah...
So you just waited for the right moment and then stood up, unfolded, and went, ha, 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 ha!
Pretty much.
I win! Yeah. You, well, they say it's... Did you get tall all of a sudden? I got tall in... I'm 6'4". I got tall in a 3-week period in the late 70s, like the Hulk.
Yeah.
I just suddenly... I was this little nerdy kid, and then I started growing and changing. And did it happen that quickly to you?
Oh no, it was always that way for me. I was always called Giraffe.
You were not always this tall. I can look into this. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Pretty quickly.
From about 11 onwards.
Wow, that's amazing. And you lived. Of course, you were born in.
Born in London.
Born in London, but you came here to.
I came to New York City when I was 18. I love New York. Mm-hmm. I love Christmas, so this is a sort of perfect combination for me. So I lived down in the West Village, around Hudson and Christopher.
Right.
And I lived with a very dodgy musician. This was a flat share, this was a platonic thing. And a model whose speciality was lingerie. And
I'd switch with you, if you like.
You can imagine, right?
Yeah.
And she was Miss Illinois, in fact. And one day, she
won the title, Miss. That wasn't her name.
She
okay.
was, right.
Yeah.
Middle name.
Yeah. It's just a coincidence. Yeah.
And she came from a very strong Catholic family outside of Chicago, and went off to confess on Sundays when she modelled lingerie.
But that was her job.
Right. So Monday to Friday, she'd do, you know, Victoria's Secret and stuff, and then on Sunday she'd be off all day.
Just the whole day apologizing to God that she wore lingerie?
In the little box.
That is extremely hardcore. Even I don't go to confession when I wear lingerie. What I do in my spare time is my business and my business alone. Of course, we have an audience here of well over 2,000 people, but what I was... No, don't... I didn't realize that would happen.
Yeah,
So I know that you're used to being out in front of. You've done a lot of stage work. You're used to being out in front of crowds. You've done stage work in Britain. You've done it here. What's the difference between, say, a British crowd and an American crowd? Do you notice a difference in how they react?
Well, in Britain, they laugh inside, and they also cry inside. So you're doing a play and you're waiting for a response, and they'll tell you 3 hours later in the pub, "Oh, that was marvellous. I was crying inside, and there was a moment where you were funny, and I chuckled so much I thought I may actually open my mouth." And you think, why, please, could you not do that 3 hours earlier?
I get a lot of British crowds.
They love that. You get that here.
I'm very, very funny, and they tell me later on that they would have laughed.
Yeah, you get little notes sent to you.
Yeah.
Dear Conan.
One thing I have to ask you about is this show, which I understand it's a phenomenon here, this Regis Philbin show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It originally was a British show.
Right.
Did you watch it in Britain?
They, in fact, shoot on the soundstage next to where we shot this film, Miss Julie. And every morning I'd arrive and see these crowds queuing up. They start very early, because it's a very strange idea giving away £1 million in England. Because literally, when I was a kid in the 70s, the ultimate prize to win was on a show called Blankety Blank. And if you did everything right for about 6 weeks running on this show and answered every question impeccably, they'd say, "You've won a Blankety Blank checkbook and pen."
You got a checkbook and a pen if you won? That's it? And people would struggle for this?
Oh, believe me, that was a big deal. And it came, you know, in a little frame
Britain's
thing.
a terrible place. No, here, I mean, now we've got to the point where we give away $1 million, and people are now satisfied with that.
They're a little blasé about that now, right?
Right. Well, in this country, if you started, you know, you've won, you've made it to the final round, here's a pen and a free checkbook, a mob would tear the place apart.
Sad.
Yeah, and they'd be right to. They'd be right. Mob violence is not wrong. The film Miss
Is this a comment on yesterday?
No, I don't read the papers.
Okay.
Miss Julie opens in select cities next Friday, and I've heard great things about this film. And Saffron, it was great having you on the show.
Oh, it's lovely to
It was really nice to have you here. Good luck with everything. Saffron Burrows, we'll be right back. Hold it, stay right there. You can't go anywhere. I'll get lonely. Garth Brooks coming up. Stick around.